for those individuals who've been recently arrested, but the cases have already been formally accused and bound over to state court. All defendants, you have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say regarding the facts of your case can and will be used against you. You also have a right to an attorney today. All participants, this particular proceeding is being broadcast over the internet as a live stream, and as you've just seen the message, it's also being recorded. That means that any member of the public can log on and watch this particular proceeding. All participants are required to be in a safe and quiet location. If you're driving, please pull your vehicle over. All right, are there any announcements from the jail regarding medical reset?
Yes, position.
Is it 8 and 9?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ford, is the public, or Mr. Finley, does the public defender's office intend to waive the appearance for 8 and 9? Mr. Washington, he's been on this calendar quite a few days. Has anyone spoken with him such that we can waive his appearance?
I have not spoken with him, Judge. It was my understanding that he refused to come speak to us.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just continue to reset him.
I'm sorry, Judge. Also, he is a temporary, I guess, candidate for MHEC court, and they have him scheduled for October the 6th. I'm sorry, October the 6th, before Judge Kirk.
So will he continue to just be on this calendar until then, Ms. Lewis? Do you know?
I guess,
Still needs to get a
I'm
bond.
not clear. They just, right now, I just know he's scheduled for October the 6th for Judge Kirk to see if he's going to be able to participate in the program. And then
Okay, well, he still needs to get a bond if possible. So if the public defender's office can continue to try to reach out to him, see if we can waive his appearance. But for today, we'll medically reset him until Monday's SCA calendar. All those who receive a surety or a cash bond today will be reset to the state all-purpose calendar on October the 13th of 2022. And those who receive a signature bond either through the jail or pretrial will be reset further notice. All right, who do we have first?
Starting courtroom 2, position 1, Mr. Cobb.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Cobb. Your case number is 22 CR 006628D, in which you're charged with 1 count of giving false information to a law enforcement officer with the offense date of September the 30th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you. Ms. Roberts, good afternoon. If you could give me the history, please.
Good afternoon. 10 cycles. Last arrest was from July 13, 2021 for theft of services out of Clayton County. That was a conviction. Also another conviction from July of 2021 for possession of meth, possession of a Schedule I controlled substance, drugs not in the original container, and possession and use of drug-related objects out of Fayette County. That is an act of probation. It was 3 years probation and 1 FTA from 2015, and nothing further.
All right, thank you. Ms. Reiser, please proceed.
Yes, Judge, thank you. In regards to the count of false name, I believe the bond is already set at a $500 surety. The state would ask that it remain as set. We did add a obstruction charge, and we would recommend a $1,000 surety bond for a total of $1,500 surety. Judge, the facts as alleged, officers responded to 2103 West Cedar Lane in Fulton County in regards to a verbal altercation that this defendant was having with her roommate. During the investigation, that this defendant gave a false name and date of birth to law enforcement officers and also ran from law enforcement officers, but was subsequently arrested. We believe this bond is reasonable, just giving her history on the recent convictions. She has, I believe, an open probation warrant as well out of Clayton and an FTA. So we do believe this defendant is a flight risk, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Now, the obstruction charge does not appear on my calendar. Does it need to be added? Do we need an add-on calendar such that it could be added? Ms. Lewis, is that even, I'm sorry, Ms. Grace is with me today. Ms. Grace or Ms. Lewis, is that possible that we can address the obstruction charge on this?
Ms. Lewis is looking into it right now, Judge, because no, it's not on any of our stuff neither.
Apparently y'all did not file that charge down.
Okay.
Added it. When did you file it?
Okay, no worries. I can add it right now. I believe I thought I did it this morning. I know I filed an accusation on it, but I will file the charge down as well right now.
Well, it needs to be a sub, or whatever, a subcharge with the current case number, so we'll get a new case number. And he's not being held for the charge that you added on, just the one that he's on the counter for, am I correct?
That's correct.
All right, so what I'll do
So-
is I'll set bond
I mean,
on
you
both
can add a
charges.
charge
Is
to
that,
it, but-
is it possible, Ms. Lewis, or should I set bond for both charges? Is that possible?
Well, the only one charge is on the counter for, and
Right.
that's what he's in jail for, so at this time, I mean, if they want to add a charge on later down the line after you set this one, they can, but it's gonna take some minute to go and need to do all this and get it on the counter, and then the jail has to add it, so if you just go forward with one, and then after it's accused, if he's gonna be set for SAP counter, you can add a charge later.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Ford, please proceed. It sounds as if the second charges will not be added today, and we'll be just addressing the giving false information.
Thank you, Your Honor, because that was an issue that I had, that we had no information on the second charge, so I was not prepared to deal with that charge as well. Your Honor, we are requesting a signature bond on this. As you can see, this is not a violent crime. My client, even though that he says he has 10 cycles, those are not violent cycles. My client is presently has a GED and is enrolling in college at this time, has a stable address, stable telephone number. I do have the telephone number of his grandmother, so he does have community support. He's not a flight risk. He's not a risk of reoffending, Your Honor, because this is giving of false information. It's not like someone is going to be harmed in society, Your Honor. He's been a lifetime resident of Georgia, so he's not going anywhere. This is his home. This is where he resides. He'll be looking to come back each and every day for court. So at this time, Your Honor, we're asking for a signature bond.
All right, at this time, defendant will receive a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. I am gonna, was a stay away requested by the state? I'm inclined to grant that, Ms. Rogers.
Judge, yeah, we could do that. It's my understanding that the defendant and the victim who called 911 were roommates. I didn't have
Is that the defendant's home, that Cedar Lane address?
No, I have a 3144 Martin Luther King Drive, Your Honor.
All right, so we'll say stay away from that address on Cedar Lane. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Your Honor, I don't see that this is giving a false information. I don't see where there's a stay away is necessary at this point. Not on this charge.
All right, I understand. The ruling will stand, Mr. Ford, but I did give the defendant a signature bond to the jail.
Okay, signature bond, but is it still going to be a stay away?
I think a stay away might be necessary at this time if there was in fact an obstruction. So I'm gonna still issue the stay away. What is that stay away address? Let's clarify that. Is that someone's home, like a friend's home, or there was some altercation allegedly, correct?
Yes, Judge, that is correct. The roommate called law enforcement officers because there was a verbal altercation and he felt uncomfortable at that time. And that is when the officers responded and the subsequent charges came from that. The incident location that the officers responded to was 2103 West Cedar Lane, Southwest.
Okay. And what is that address alleged to be? That's what I'm trying to ascertain.
1 second, Your Honor. I believe it's a residence because that is where Mr. Antron Bowler, I believe, resides, and that's where they were roommates at the time. That's what I'm reading from the police report, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Ford, your response to that?
Well,
I'm
yeah,
inclined, if the defendant doesn't live there and there was allegedly there might be some other charges stemming from this. I don't want to spend all day on this. I do believe that we should allow the defendant out of jail. Defendant's raising her hand.
yeah, I was going to let my client know that unless you're offering something of clarification, I would not ask that you speak at this time. Is there something you feel you need to clarify?
Well, I was just clarifying the addresses. The 3144 is my grandmother's address, and the 2103 is where I have been staying for the past few months, off and on, with along with going back and forth with my grandmother.
Well,
So you do reside at that location?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Most of my belongings are there, and
Okay, that's fine. Don't say too much.
that's
Well,
enough.
In
That's
light
enough.
of that information, I won't do the stay away at this time. I am gonna say no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and defendant will receive $1,000 sign-on bond through the jail. All right, anything further from either party?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Best of luck to you. Who do we have next?
Position number 3.
All right, are you Carolina Munez?
Yes.
Your case number is 22 CR 006627J, and what you're charged with theft by taking with the offense date of September the 30th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Roberts, please proceed.
Only one prior arrest from 2017 out of California for petty theft. That case was dismissed and she's recommended for pretrial.
All right, thank you. Ms. Reiser.
Yes, Your Honor. I believe the bond currently is set as a $1,000 surety. The state would request that remain in place. The facts allege that this defendant was an employee at the Exxon located at 2331 Bolton Road, and she had taken $100 out of the register. At this time, we believe the bond is reasonable, given she does have a prior arrest for a theft, judge, and she was a employee who took money at this time, Your Honor. And we would also ask for a stay away at 2331 Bolton Road.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, we feel that a signature bond would be appropriate at this time. My client has no prior convictions. She has her own strawberry business. She is a high school graduate. She does have one child that's 2 years old that she's responsible for financial support at this time. She has been living in Georgia for a year, but I do have a telephone number of a person, her cousin, that lives here. She does have community support. She's not at risk of flight because at this point, Your Honor, this is her home. She lives here. She has a stable address that she's given to me on Bolton Road in Atlanta, Georgia. I have a telephone number for her and a email address, Your Honor. Based on pretrial recommendation, we believe that a signature bond would be appropriate at this time.
All right, at this time, defendant will receive $1,000 signature bond through the jail, and defendant is to stay away from that address on Bolton Road and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further from either party?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you. Who do we have next?
Position number 6. Ms.
All right.
Rogers.
Good afternoon. Your case number is 22 CR 006633F. I'm not going to sound the first charge, and you're also charged with disorderly conduct. Oh, actually, there's 2 charges I will not sound. The only charge I will sound is the charge of disorderly conduct with the offense date of September the 30th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Roberts.
Rogers.
Ms. Roberts.
She has 19 cycles, 14 out of South Carolina, 5 out of Georgia. Last arrest was September 19, 2013 for simple assault family violence. That case is dismissed. Last conviction was in 2011 for a violation of city ordinance, and that's out of South Carolina. Assault conviction from 2008 out of South Carolina. Purse snatching conviction 2004, South Carolina. Assault 2001, South Carolina. Strong arm robbery 1999, South Carolina. Forgery 95, South Carolina. And another forgery in 1993 out of South Carolina. She is recommended for pretrial.
All right, thank you. And whose case is this for the state? Is it you, Ms. Brown?
It is, Judge.
Yes, good afternoon. Please proceed.
Judge, I don't know how much information you want me to put on the record, given you didn't sound the charges, but.
Okay, before you speak, I think I probably need to go into a breakout. Ms. Lewis, can you put me and is this your case, Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge.
All right, will you put us into a breakout room very briefly? on anything sensitive said on the record? All right, Ms. Brown, please proceed with your bond argument. I'm now aware of the facts.
Yes, Judge. So as a result of the facts, our recommendation is a $2,500 surety, given our concerns. We were asked that there's a stay away from the pick and pay and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And Judge,
And what's the requested breakdown, Ms. Brown?
I believe there are 3 counts now, 500 per count. No, that's not 500.
No, it's
My
not.
math-
I'm terrible at math. but
Oh
I
my
was-
gosh, no, that's not 500 per count.
All right.
Let me,
All right, well, we'll let Mr. Finley proceed while we calculate the math, but the state is requesting a $2,500 surety bond. Mr. Finley, and you're muted, by the way, if you're.
Yes, Judge. Ms. Rogers is 52 years old. She has no kids. Ms. Rogers has no income. The only income that she does have is from her Social Security checks that she does receive. I do have a good address for her. And despite the criminal history that we did hear, what we did not hear was recent criminal history and no recent convictions that I heard. What we did hear was fairly remote. I did explain and really stressed to Ms. Rogers the importance of respecting the legal process and showing up to court. She assured me that she would. And I did obviously speak with her about the charges. She understood, and she unequivocally will be at court, Judge, but she is unable to make a $2,500 bond. As I said, the only income she does receive is from her SSI check, which barely pays her rent. So I am asking for a signature bond on her behalf, Judge, because a $2,500 surety bond would effectively be a no bond for her.
All right, thank you, Mr. Finley. Ms. Brown, did you want to give me the requested breakdown?
yes,
Or should we
Judge,
proceed? Go ahead.
1,000 on 2 of the counts and 500 on the other, on the disorderly.
All right, thank you. At this time, Ms. Rogers is going to receive a $2,500 signature bond through pretrial. The breakdown will be 1,000 count 1, 500 count 2, and 1,000 count 3. She is to absolutely stay away from that pick and pay location, and she is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. All right, is there anything further from either party?
No, Judge.
And Judge, it just cut off for a second. So it was 1,000, 500, 500.
1,000, it should be 2,500, 1,000, 500, 1,000 through pretrial.
Okay, got it.
All right, best of luck to you, Ms. Rogers. Who do we have next?
Position 2, Mr. Gear.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Gear. Your case number is 22 CR 006626A, in which you're charged with stalking with the offense date of July the 22nd of 2021. Do you understand your rights?
I do, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts.
First arrest recommended.
All right, Ms. Reiser.
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation as to count 1 would be a $5,000 surety bond with no further contact with Spencer Rowland and a stay away from 380 Grant Circle, apartment 304 or unit 304 in Atlanta, Georgia. Judge, the facts as alleged, this defendant placed a tracking device on Mr. Rowland's vehicle from July 22nd, 2021 through August 5th, 2021. It's my understanding the parties were in a relationship. At some point, Mr. Rowland had ended that, and that is when the charges arose from. And there's also some incidents on 7/25/2021, 8/3/2021, and 8/4/2021, where this victim's vehicle was vandalized. And so, Judge, not only are we request this bond because we are in fear for the victim's safety, and just given the nature of these charges, Your Honor. And I believe Mr. Rowland is present on camera if the court would like to address him or if he would like to address the court.
Your Honor, we'd like to object to anything that speaks to vandalism. This is a stalking charge. There's no information in the write-up that talks about anything about a vehicle being vandalized. So at this point, we ask that that be stricken from consideration at this time.
All right, I'm going to let Mr. Ford make his bond argument. I will hear from Mr. Rowland briefly at the end and give both the state and the defense a chance to present additional arguments at that time. Mr. Ford, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, this is my client is 41 years old with no criminal history, high school graduate, has a bachelor's degree in theater, works at least 2 jobs. I think it may be even more than that. He has a night job where he plays piano. Then he has a day job where he does lighting and electrical installation. He has a valid driver's license, Your Honor. He has a stable address, stable telephone number. I have an email address. He's been in Georgia for over 16 years. I do even have a contact, or he has community ties due to the fact that I do have a telephone number of an individual that he did give me the name and number for. Your Honor, based on the fact that my client has no criminal history at all, this is not somewhat of a violent crime where there's been an attack. This is something that's alleged tracking device, which my client has some concern about at this point. So based on the no arrest, the fact that he is employed, the fact that he does have the education to even get even a better job, and his long ties here in Georgia, Your Honor, we're asking for a signature bond at this time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Rowland, if you'd like to make a statement, this is your opportunity to do so. You're not required to, however. Please raise your right hand if you'd like to do so, and I'm going to put you under oath. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yeah.
All right, you can put your hand down. What the court is most interested in is whether you wish to have any contact with the defendant. Otherwise, I'll hear from you at this time.
Absolutely no contact with the defendant.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the court, Mr. Rowland?
I would like to let the court know that despite my multiple attempts to have Mr. Gear stop contacting me and tracking me, which was proven by the police officer that did actually track the tracker to him because he used his credit card to purchase it, that it was him that did it. I asked him to leave me alone multiple times. He has continued to terrorize me for months. So, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Mr. Rowland. I appreciate you coming to court and making that statement today. Is there anything further from either the state or the defense?
Judge, just from the state, based on what you just heard, we would request the $5,000 surety, Your Honor.
Your Honor, and just as a counter, my client has no violent history at all. He's gainfully employed. I believe that at this point, there must be some type of misunderstanding. We're asking for a signature bond at this time. If you want to make it a $5,000, that's fine, Your Honor. But it should be a signature bond because he has no prior violent history or criminal history at all.
All right, thank you. At this time, the defendant is going to receive a $3,500 surety bond. He is to have absolutely no contact with the alleged victim in this case, last name Rowland. That means either by text, phone, social media. He is not to drive past the location at 3800 Grant Circle. And he must stay away from that address as well. He is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of that surety bond. He will be reset to the state all-purpose calendar on October 13th of 2022. Is there anything further from either party?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Gear. Who do we have next?
Position 4, Mr. Pate.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Pate. Your case number is 22CR006629B, in which you're charged with criminal trespass and fair evasion with the offense date of September the 30th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts, please proceed.
17 cycles. Last arrest was November 15, 2019 for a probation violation. The underlying charge was entering auto. The entering auto conviction was from 2018. He had a 2017 conviction for terroristic threats and criminal trespass. A 2014 conviction for willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. A 2014 criminal trespass conviction and a 2013 theft by shoplifting convictions. And he has one FTA from 2014 and a total of 9 probation violations and nothing further.
All right, thank you. Ms. Reiser?
Yes, Your Honor. Bond is currently set on each charge as a $1,000 surety. The state would request that it remain as set, so that would be a total of a $2,000 surety. We would also add the provision to stay away from MARTA. Your Honor, the facts as alleged that this defendant was previously criminally trespassed from MARTA. He appeared at the 5 Points station, crawled under the gate without paying, Your Honor. We believe this bond that's currently set is reasonable given his 17 cycles prior convictions, as well as 1 FTA and the 9 probation violations, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client is presently not working at this time, but he is a lifetime resident of Georgia. I do have a stable address for him and telephone number. Your Honor, this is a criminal trespass and fair evasion. It'd be very easy just to have to stay away from Mr. Pate at this time. Any bond that would be set would be like giving no bond because he has no income to pay for a bond, Your Honor. So at this point, based on the fact that this is a fair evasion and criminal trespass, and even looked at the 17 cycles, those are not recent issues, Your Honor. So at this point, we'd ask for a signature bond.
All right, thank you. At this time, the defendant will receive a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, $1,000 each charge. He is to stay away from the 5 Points MARTA station and comply with any other suspensions that may be in place. He is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Position 5, Mr. Peters.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Peters. Your case number is 22CR006632H, in which you're charged with battery, family violence, and battery against a pregnant female with the offense date of September 2nd of 2022. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Roberts.
3 cycles. Last arrest was April 21st of this year for criminal trespass and possession of tools during the commission of a crime. That is an open case, 22 CP 208469. It is for possession of tools during the commission of a crime, no driver's license, criminal trespass, no insurance, expired or no registration, and reckless driving, and 1 FTA from this year, and nothing further.
All right, thank you. Ms. Brown, please proceed.
Yes, Judge. On September 2nd, the victim in this case, Miss Ellis, was basically in the car with the defendant, and they had a conversation, disagreement over a phone. He then attacked her, leaving bruises on her back, close to her right shoulder, which was observed by the officer, in addition to 2 deep bite marks that the officer also observed. As a result, Judge, we're asking for a $5,000 surety on this, no further contact with the victim, anger management, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons in this case, Judge.
All right, and the name of the alleged victim in this case?
Janicia, and that is Janecia Ellis, ELLIS.
And was the state requesting a stay away address as well? From an
Judge,
address?
I believe this happened in a car, but it was
Okay.
near 3725 Cascade Road, so we can ask for a stay away from that address.
Okay. I'm gonna sound for Ms. Ellis at this time. If Ms. Ellis is present on the Zoom conference and wishes to be heard, this is the opportunity to do so. All right, hearing none, Mr. Ford, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client is 17 years old. He is gainfully employed at the General Wholesale on Fulton Industrial for the last month. This is a job that is necessary due to the fact that he does with the complaining witness, they do share a child that's on the way, and he's trying to make sure that there's money available to take care of that particular child. So he is working. He does have a stable address, telephone number, and email address. And I do have a relative of his that is located here in Georgia. He's a lifetime resident. He's not at risk of flight, Your Honor. This is his home. This is where he lives. He does have community ties. Based on his limited criminal history, Your Honor, most of it is probably juvenile, which is probably concealed and closed at this time. I would ask that a signature bond be granted so he go back to work, because he's only been working at this job. He's on probation for 1 month.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ford. At this time, the defendant will receive a $3,500 surety bond, $2,500 count 1, $1,000 count 2. He is to have no contact with the alleged victim, in this case, last name Ellis, and he is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of that surety bond. He will be reset to the state all-purpose calendar on October the 13th. Is there anything further from my party?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Nothing, Judge.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Position 7, Mr. Standiford.
All right, Mr. Stender, for your case number 22 CR 006630G, and what you're charged with loitering and prowling with the offense date of September the 30th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Roberts.
3 cycles, all out of Florida. Last arrest was December 14, 2020 for robbery out of Florida. That was a conviction. The conviction date was December 14, 2020. It was 24 months probation. So that could still be an active probation. And he has 1 FTA from 2019. And nothing further.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Roberts. Ms. Brown.
Yes, Judge. There's a $500 surety bond on this case. We were asked that that bond be left in place. Stay away from 1068 Robert Smalls Way. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. When the officers received a call out to the area, they were told that there was an individual attempting to break into cars as well as enter abandoned apartments, and the officers encountered Mr. Standiford, but once they looked in the car and in the apartment, there was nothing damaged or stolen, Judge. So that's the reason for the charge, and we ask that the bond remain the same.
All right, thank you. Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Stanifer is 24. He is currently unemployed, so money is an issue for Mr. Stanifer. He has no kids. He recently moved to Atlanta, but he does have relatives here, Judge, so he does have community ties. He's currently looking for a job, though, and wants to be working in a warehouse. From what we heard, he only has 3 cycles, Judge, so he does not by any means have a lengthy criminal history. Money is an issue for Mr. Stanifer. He has those relatives, but they are not able to financially support him, Judge. So I am asking for a signature bond on Mr. Stanifer's behalf. And I did stress to Mr. Stanifer the importance of respecting the legal process and showing up to court, and he assured me he would, Judge. So I am asking for that signature bond on his behalf.
All right, thank you, Mr. Finley. Mr. Stanifer's bond will remain as set at the 500 surety, and he is to stay away from the address on Robert Smalls Way, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Stanifer. Who do we have next?
Position 10, Mr. Young.
What was
All right.
that bond again?
It remains set at the 500 surety. All right.
Katrina, I'm sorry to interrupt. Everybody received the add-on counter, just send out for Michael Raw.
I just pulled it up, Ms. Lewis. I have it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Young. Your case number is 22 CR.
I don't know if I have that, Your Honor. I apologize for jumping in here late, but was that sent to my email address or Mr. Finley?
We're not doing his case yet, so but Ms. Lewis, if you would resend.
I got you.
Oh, here's the jails. Ms. Lewis, will you also turn on the closed caption so that they can read what I'm saying so we can keep going? Thank you. Mr. Young, your case number is 22 CR 006631G, in which you're charged with fair evasion and criminal trespass with the offense date of September the 29th of 2022. Do you understand your rights? All right, I'll take the nod because I know the alarm is going off. Ms. Roberts?
25 cycles. Last arrest was September 9th of this year for criminal trespass and a probation violation. He had a criminal trespass conviction from September 27th of this year. He appears to be on probation out of Clayton County for robbery. The disposition date was December 15th, 2018, 5 years probation. Also appears to be on probation for criminal damage to property out of Clayton County. Disposition date was July of 2020, 4 years probation. He had an arrest for burglary from January 22nd of 2021 out of Clayton County. That appears to be open. 2017 theft by shoplifting conviction. 2014 theft by taking conviction. 2011 possession of marijuana less than an ounce conviction. A given false name conviction in 2009. And a theft by shoplifting conviction in 2008. It does appear to also have a few other open cases. Give me 1 second.
I think that's sufficient, Ms. Roberts. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Ms. Brown?
Yes, Judge. On this case, we're asking for a 1,500 surety bond and to stay away from East Point MARTA Station. On that day, he entered East Point MARTA Station without paying. The officer also checked the MARTA suspension records and found out that he had an active suspension that had been issued from September 25th of 2022 to October 25th of 2022. Based on his history and the fact that he's a risk to reoffend, Judge, we would ask for that 15 surety, 1,000. We could do 1,000 on the criminal trespass, 5,000 on the 500 on the fair evasion.
All right, thank you, Ms. Brown. Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Young is 31 years old. He is employed and at a company called Pallet Consulting, where he does work full-time. I do have a good address for Mr. Young. He was raised in the Atlanta area and does have family here, so he does have community ties. That being said, he does not have family that is able to financially help him, and he personally does not have the money to make bond. All that money goes to pay his rent, and he currently does not have any money to help him bond out. Despite those criminal cases, Judge, which I do recognize, what I did not hear is that FTAs have been an issue for Mr. Young. And I did stress to him the importance of showing up to court, and he assured me that he would. This is a fair evasion and a criminal trespass, Judge. This is not a violent crime. I also did hear he had an array of recent arrests, but he is presumed innocent on those cases, Judge. As previously stated, he's not going to be able to make bond. His family will not be able to help him. So I am asking for a signature bond on his behalf, but if not inclined, Your Honor, then a $500 surety bond.
All right, thank you, Mr. Finley. At this time, defendant will receive a $500 surety bond, $250 each count. He must stay away from the East Point MARTA station and comply with any active MARTA suspensions. He is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further from either party?
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Are we going to the add-on calendar? Is that the last position that we have today?
Yes, it is. Mr. Ruth?
All right, I'm gonna try to make this larger. Give me one moment. All right, Mr. Ruth, your case number is 22 CR 006634J, in which you're charged with willful obstruction. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
The
Ms. Roberts.
He has 7 cycles. Last arrest was January 28th of 2017 for a probation violation and FTA. The underlying charge for the probation violation was a 2016 carrying a weapon without permit, and that's the only conviction and the only FTA from 2017. He's recommended.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ms. Brown. Oh, Ms. Brown, you're muted. I couldn't hear anything you were saying.
Sorry. On this case, he has $1,000 surety bond. We would ask that that bond remain the same. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. On this day, the officers were patrolling a problem area where there had been known shootings, robberies, stabbings, etc. Basically, they encountered him. They smelled marijuana. They approached him to talk to him. He took off running. They had to chase him and tase him to catch him. So that's the basis of the charge, Judge. And so based on that, Judge, he is I think that shows that he's a flight risk, Judge. And so we would just ask that the bond remain the same.
All right, thank you. Mr. Finley?
Judge, I have not spoken to him. I didn't catch the fact that, yeah, no, I'm gonna need to speak to him.
Okay, very briefly, can Mr. Finley be in a breakout with courtroom 2 since that's the last case? And in the meantime, if Mr. Finley, would you mind if we reviewed the calendar in your absence?
That's fine.
All right, I'm sure you can get the information from Mr. Ford. I'm sure he'll be happy to share it.
Yes, Judge.
So Ms. Grace, if you review the calendar and if Mr. Finley could briefly go into a breakout.
Okay, you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you, Ms. Grace. Thank you.
Okay. Position number 1 is $1,000 SOB through the jail. Position number 2 is a $3,500 good bond. Position number 3 is $1,000 SOB through the jail. Position number 4 is a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position number 5 is a $3,500 good bond. Position number 6 is a $2,500 pretrial bond. Position number 7 is a $500 good bond. Position number 8 and 9 are reset to the 10-3 SEA calendar. Position number 10 is a $500 good bond. Any questions or concerns?
What was, oh, hold on, excuse me, just a moment. We have $500 surety, okay.
All right, hearing none, will be in a very brief recess until Mr. Finley's return, at which time we'll address, oh, Mr. Finley has returned. Oh. All right, Mr. Finley, are you prepared? Oh, is courtroom 2 back?
I am prepared, Judge.
Courtroom 2 is not yet returned. All right, there's courtroom 2. Please proceed, Mr. Finley.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Ruth is 28. He is currently employed. He works at a company called Naturally Fresh Inc. He does work as has a forklift job, excuse me. He does have one daughter that's 8 years old that he does financially support. That is where primarily his money goes to. He is from Atlanta, born and raised, so he does have community ties here. And I do have a good address for him. He did stress to me that he will be at court, Judge. I am asking for a signature bond on his behalf, but if not inclined, then a $500 surety bond.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant will receive a $1,500 signature bond through the jail. And he is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further from either party? All right, hearing
No,
none.
Judge.
What was that bond again?
15 signature through the jail. All right, we will now be in recess until the Monday, October the 3rd SCA calendar, at which time I believe Judge Morrow will be presiding. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend.